Hello gang, wanted to touch base with you on Case Blue GBII Blitzkrieg. It's been a while, and the main reason has been because it's been very muddy and complicated, and the only exciting thing that happened is when we rolled for all the losses of trucks due to the first freeze. Of course, one of the most important trucks that was lost was an extender truck, which broke my extender, and as far as I can figure, there's no quick fix for that. So I've had to scramble in the kind of Vyazma all the way across to Bryansk area. That whole region just became an absolute cluster. And I'm not even going to show you the screen, show you the section of the map. What I want to do is just focus in on this little area here right now and talk about what's going on here. So we're playing Case Blue GBII Blitzkrieg. It's the 8th of November turn. And, I'm finally kind of getting back onto the stick here. But here's what's happened. The Germans pushed pretty aggressively here to try and cut the rail so that they could isolate this set of units, that's this stack here, and force them to start eating the SP that's there instead of using them for combat or for anything else for that matter. And so that attack was fairly aggressive. I couldn't get any supply to it. It's an infantry division. I think it's only got 2 steps in it. I really don't care whether it survives or not, actually, but it was to cut off the supply. Now, what this does is raises an interesting problem for the Russians. They've got their units in this spot here. They can elect to use this supply to stay in supply, eating off the map, as it were, and that would allow them to stay in full supply, right? So if I don't do that and I go out of supply, I can either roll for breakout at the beginning of the my next move, or I could, what was I going to say? Dang it. I can just be out of supply, I believe. And that might be worth doing because it's the supply phase and I'm planning on attacking this unit. And I'll need the SP to make that happen. So it's an interesting little conundrum here. These guys are actually in here. They're in this spot here. It's a 12-2 and a little, I don't know what that is, an MG battalion. They're sitting right there. And these guys are in here. So the Russians have to make their mind up what they're going to do. And we'll work all that out in just a minute, but I thought I'd share that with you. That's the area around Rzhev. And we will talk with you anon, all right? As a quick side note, it's also interesting because the German forces here are low ammo, so it will put them to exhausted, which would mean they would be halved in defense, I believe, the next time they were attacked, assuming there was a next time. So all fun and games here. I think I'm trying to remember if I can actually not use the supply from the map and let myself be out of supply. And I believe that you can do that. I'm going to have to go check that, but I'm going to run this attack here, knock these guys out, and put ourselves back into supply for the beginning of the next turn, and run the risk as the Soviets that although these guys will be OOS, that the Germans either don't have enough supply here to effect a solid attack against Rzhev, or don't have enough supply to attack something else and try and pop across the railway line. We'll see what happens. Light mud at the moment. We'll see what the next turn brings, but we're gonna try and use that supply for this attack as opposed to keeping people in trace supply. Joe. Here's another option, folks. We can pop a tree bark down here, and that would allow us to feed for trace supply purposes all of these units here, and we wouldn't need to roll for any of them. I think it'll even count for the units in the city. I'd have to check that, but that is a second or third option that we would have in terms of making choices about what we do about attacking that low ammo unit, that infantry division that's straddling the rail line there. So in fact, that tree bark, if I recall correctly, will only be usable where there are no negated zones of control. So here, we would not be able to use the tree bark Oh, actually, we would be able to use it here, but we wouldn't be able to use it here because these zones of control interfere, and it's one of those exceptions where you cannot negate a zone of control for this particular purpose for using the tree bark. Well, who knew? I mean, it's difficult to transport that tree bark.